Hello, Debbie runs Beach to Bay. That's one of my hashtags. My YouTube channel is Living, Loving Beach to Bay because it really is what I do. You know, this is not I'm not taking an energy drink and then getting in front of this camera. When I tell you that I live here, I play here, I work here, I thrive here, and I absolutely love living in coastal Delaware, that comes from the heart. That is something I get up every day and I think, oh my gosh, I get to live here. I get to play here. I get to work here. I get to thrive here. And, you know, I also run and bike here. So all of the above. But I really want to talk to you today about something that is really, I get asked about all the time. Is real estate a good investment? Should I consider an investment property as part of adding to my, generational wealth, whether I want to, pass that on to my children or to my spouse, or maybe you want to gift it. That's always a lovely philanthropic endeavor as well. But today I really want to talk about what goes into owning an investment property, and is it a good investment? Am I going to make money? Is my property going to appreciate? Am I going to get back what I have spent for that? So, call to action. If you're enjoying my videos, hit the bell, subscribe. You don't need to. Well, it would be wonderful if you did that, but you don't have to. But if you'd like to, that's great as well. But I would really ask you to watch the entire video and then maybe consider watching another video that I am posting a couple of times a week. So let's really go right in. Why is owning a beach home a good investment? Well, I can speak to you again. I can't talk to you about, the Outer Banks. I can't really talk to you about, Rhode Island, the coast of Rhode Island, or even off the coast of Maine. But I can, with really good confidence and conviction, tell you that the demand for rental properties in coastal Delaware is quite strong. One of the huge advantages we have in this marketplace is that it's a drivable destination. 2 hours from Philadelphia, 2 hours from Baltimore, a little over 2 hours from DC. It is 3 hours from Virginia, West Virginia, Western Pennsylvania, the New York border, et cetera. So, this is a driving destination. So what does that mean for you as a potential investment? Well, our season is ideally late April through mid to end of October. And I'm really extending that now. For those of you who thought the season was really just Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's really much longer. It starts earlier and ends later. And what's very interesting is that all of the coastal communities, from Lewis to Rehoboth to Dewey, Bethany, Fenwick, and on into Ocean City, have really expanded the tourism attractions off-season. So, a couple of other times I've talked about the Fire and Ice Festival in Bethany, or the Doodle Festival in Dewey, or all of the events that are now going on in Ocean City. There's Ocean's Calling. There's that Blue Marlin, I know, big fish thing, et cetera. So, all of these communities are expanding events into the off-season with obviously the desire to encourage people to come and visit. So is coastal Delaware a great place to own an investment property that you intend to rent as part of the very vibrant tourism economy here? The answer is yes. Let's talk about the costs. Obviously, you've got a down payment, you've got closing costs, and you've got financing options, and then you've got furnishings and setup. So what is that going to cost you? Well, a down payment, that's going to run the spectrum. 10 to 25% is typical, okay? Closing costs, you can anticipate in Delaware at least 3 to 5%, maybe a little bit more. One of the challenges in coastal Delaware is the transfer tax. The transfer tax, which is part of owning a property in Sussex County. That transfer tax is 4%. It is always split 2% on the buy side, 2% on the sell side. Now, I will tell you, there is occasions where you can negotiate a little bit for that, but that is really a big piece of the closing costs. The other closing costs in Delaware actually can be quite small because our property taxes are so low that you're not, doing a lot of that prepayment, et cetera. So furnishings and setup, that's a you thing, okay? Depends on really how much you want to spend and how, upscale, so to speak, that you're looking to go to. I often encourage my clients, go middle of the road. If you're furnishing a home as a rental, it's going to take some wear and tear, okay? So I'm not talking about high-end Ethan Allen or Pottery Barn furnishings. I'm talking about middle of the road. As a matter of fact, there's a HomeSense that just opened in Rehoboth Beach. It is packed all the time. And one of the reasons I know it's packed is there's an awful lot of investors that are using a HomeSense kind of retailer to outfit their home. So what are you going to, could cost you between $15,000 and $40,000. So if you think about it, 10 to 25% of the purchase price for a deposit, 3 to 5% for the cost of the home and closing costs, and then tack on another $15,000 to $40,000 in furnishings. So you add that all up, and that's what you've got out of pocket to initially get into an investment property. Ongoing overhead. Okay, so I'm going to just say the overhead. Obviously, you've got your mortgage costs, you've got property taxes, and all of that baked into, as we refer to. Those are your housing expenses. Most of those are going to be fixed. Okay, there's really not a lot of arbitrary numbers in there. Your mortgage is your mortgage. Your taxes are your taxes. What really is going to vary is what level of property management you select. Are you going to self-manage? Are you going to use a third party? And what you really need to anticipate for ongoing repairs. As I said, a rental property will take a little wear and tear. Some of that's going to be casual wear and tear. Occasionally it is big wear and tear if it's an HVAC or a water heater or something significant like that. But you've got to factor in numbers there. From a standpoint of property management, you can go self-manage. So then you may only be paying Airbnb or VRBO a small percentage, anywhere from 3 to 4% for them to host your home on there. But then you would be handling things like, the online scheduling. You would have to find a cleaning service, again, unless you were local and wanted to take that on yourselves. You would have to engage with a maintenance contractor, whether that's a handyman service or HVAC and, someone that you would want to put on retainer. You can go the route of using a management service. And I really do keep a pretty strong portfolio of those property managers that I would recommend. They're going to run you anywhere from 15% to 22, 24, maybe even a little bit higher, depending on the level of service. What do you get for a property manager? Well, first and foremost, that individual is going to help with the check-in and check-out of your guests. Most of those property managers are going to be available on call if there's a maintenance issue. Those property managers are going to handle the housekeeping. Those property managers are going to handle the everyday maintenance, not the huge maintenance. They will help coordinate the huge maintenance. That expense will still fall onto your shoulders. But a property manager really takes off your plate the day-to-day management of your property. But there is a fee for that. So again, round numbers. If you're getting $10,000 in rentals and you're paying your property manager 15%, that's $1,500 right off the top. $8,500 in your pocket, $1,500 in your property manager's pocket for all of the work that they are doing to maintain your property. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on financing because I think that's a conversation for a separate, video. But you can go a conventional route. You can go. There are other, investment loan sources, et cetera, that may not require as much of a down payment. But as a general rule, the lower the down payment, the more you're financing. Sometimes that will affect the rate that you're paying. We use an expression when you're buying a home. We say, marry the home, date the rate. The same thing can be true about an investment property. Rates are certainly not where you or I would like them to be, although they are pretty much sitting right below 7% right now. Those rates, I do anticipate, will slide a little bit. I don't think they're going to get on a chutes and ladders kind of thing and shoot down into the mid to low fives. But I do think we'll be looking at 6-ish by the end of the year, and hopefully 2026. Oh my gosh, that sounds so far away. We could be looking at something in the fives. So let's get to kind of the meat of this. So you bought your home, you figured it all out, it's furnished, you're ready to go, you selected a property manager. How do you maximize really getting the most for your home? Well, that is, again, where you would really want to enlist that property manager to help you with the marketing, whether it's fabulous photographs, whether it's hosting a website that really, puts a spotlight on your home. One of the biggest drivers to rental, income is making sure that your reviews are outstanding. Obviously, 5 stars is the best, but anything above about a 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 is really going to put you at the top of the algorithm. You really want to identify what your home is worth and how do you maximize that pricing. Certainly if you are using the home for some personal use as well, you want to make sure that you are blocking the home when it's most important to you and your family, but having your home very available for peak season or peak holidays. Peak holidays being obviously Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. But also, obviously there's spring, there's around the spring holiday for schools. I actually am working with a client who's considering an investment property, and it's a big property. The property does sleep approximately 16, but we were taking a look at the rental records. This property actually had a 2-night booking, December 31st and January 1st, where the rental income for each night was $1,000. So those 2 days netted this property owner $2,000. That's quite a delightful number when you consider coming to the beach for, New Year's Eve and the day after. Maybe you wouldn't think of it, but obviously these clients did, and these guests were looking for it. So that was a great win for this property owner. So the net, a good property is going to yield you between 5 to 10%. That's called the cap rate. So that means after you factor out, your expenses, what you're paying, what's coming in one pocket, what's going out the other pocket. So let's really talk about how we get to that 5 to 10% cap rate. So basically the cap rate is net income minus purchase price. And then there's a cash on, cash reserve. So we aim for approximately 8 to 12% return based on the rental income versus the cash invested. And then occupancy rate. So occupancy rate is another statistic that we all think about. So if a home is available to rent 365 days of the year, you really want to make sure that it is available 60 to 70% of the time to paying guests and that you maximize that. So again, rough numbers would be that of the 365 days of the year, you really want to make sure that your property is being rented between 180 and 200 plus days of the year. That would really be ideal. That will drive your investment, that will drive your financial performance, and will really encourage you to think, well, gee, this has been so much fun. Maybe we should do another one. So if I could just do a very simple math problem for you. A $600,000 beach home that had $80,000 in rental income and $40,000 in expenses. And I actually think that $40,000 expense line is very high. But again, I'm really taking this example from some notes that I made. That would really be providing you a cap rate of 6.7%. So as I said, anywhere between 5 and 10 is really going to show a strong financial performance. I happen to think that $40,000 in expenses feels very, very high. I think that you can do better than that. The property that I'm actually looking at has an $80,000 rental income, and their expenses are $22,000. So, I think that somewhere between the $40,000 and the $22,000 is going to be really that sweet spot. But cap rates between 5 and 10 are really considered very, very successful. So, bottom line, is a beach property or a beach home a good investment? Well, you've really got to, determine some of that for yourself. What I can tell you is the demand is great. The opportunity to be an investment owner is certainly here all around you, and I would love to be that tour guide for you. Whether you consider myself as a tour guide or someone else, please do consider, using a professional realtor, and never obviously discount the benefit of checking in with your financial planner, an accountant, and someone who can really, deliver you the good news. But what I can tell you is that we have an awful lot of very successful beach investors here in Coastal Delaware. And I'm inclined to think that that might be something that many, many other people should consider doing as well. So there is no greater way to build absolutely generational wealth than to consider investing in real estate, whether it's as an investment, whether it's a personal home, whether it's a second home, whether it's just a new chapter. I hope you've enjoyed this. I live here, I play here, I work here, and I thrive here. And I hope that you're considering doing the same. So you can subscribe, you can hit the button, or you can just drop into another video. I'd love to see you in every way. Have a great evening.